Welcome to the 90s! I am the Kaiju no Kami, and tonight's review is Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah.
The 90s? Never heard of it.
Oh, it was a wonderful time. The Iraq War was over once and for all. A struggling Matt Groening created Futurama, and young people believed in their dreams.
After Godzilla vs. Biollante, Toho immediately started working on another Godzilla movie. At first, they wanted to use King Kong again, but due to the cost Turner Entertainment requested, who now owned the rights to the monster, Toho decided to look elsewhere. They thought of the idea of using Mecha Kong from King Kong Escapes, but apparently returning director and writer Kazuki Omori did not want to take the chance of that monster also being part of Turner's ownership. As such, the decision was made to bring King Ghidorah back. Ghidorah was one of Godzilla's top adversaries of the Showa era, so it made a lot of sense to bring him back first. Koichi Kawakita returned to helm the effects, but this time Akira Ifukube came back to score, bringing his incredible talent into the newest decade. And the trick was to bring King Ghidorah into the modern era without the lame alien cliches. And what better way to do so than to have time travel? Ooh. The movie begins in the year 2204 AD, and a sub finds the remains of the three-headed monster King Ghidorah. Shouldn't he be fossilized by now? 90s! It then jumps to 1992 and a UFO is spotted flying around the city. We are then introduced to author Kenichiro Terasawa, played by Kosuke Toyohara, who wants to write something different, possibly dealing with dinosaurs. He interviews a strange World War II veteran who claims that his platoon was saved by a dinosaur on Lagos Island. Terasawa then visits a professor named Mizaki, played by Katsuhiko Sasaki, and talks to him about Lagos Island. It is revealed that the island was destroyed by the hydrogen bomb tests, leading Terasawa with the hypothesis that the dinosaur became Godzilla. He then proceeds to interview Shindo, the CEO of a company called the Teiyo Group, and was also the commander of the army on Lagos Island, about the dinosaur. Shindo refuses to comment on the event until Terasawa tells him what he believes. Both Terasawa and Mizaki study a group of pictures Shindo gave him and name the dinosaur Godzillasaurus. How original. Godzillasaurus. 90s! At the same time these events have been happening, the military has been tracking the UFO around Japan. Megumi Odaka returns to play Miki Sagusa, who is now working for the military, and we also meet her boss Takahito Fujio, played by Tokuma Nishioka. They find the UFO when it has landed on a beachfront and three people emerge from it. They are Wilson, Granchico, and Emmy. Chuck Wilson, Richard Berger, and Anna Nakagawa respectively play these three. The trio introduces themselves as being from the 23rd century and that the UFO is actually their time machine. They meet with the Prime Minister and explain that they have come to save Japan from being destroyed by Godzilla. Terasawa and Mizaki are summoned to the Prime Minister's cabinet, and the book he is going to write on Godzilla is brought to him with the notion that they are requested to help the people from the future save Japan. As such, the duo, along with Mickey, are to go back to 1944 to stop Godzilla from being born. They are also introduced to an android named M11, played by Robert Scott Field. They enter the ship with M11 and Emmy and meet three strange cutesy creatures called Dorats. After they strap in, they travel back in time. They don't seem to be giving them the rules about time travel. Hey, what are they?
Stay on the path. Don't go off it.
Kill this one man, you destroy a race of people, an entire history of life. Europe remains forever a dark forest. Step on a mouse, you leave your print like a Grand Canyon across eternity. So stay on the path.
A group of US soldiers see the ship flying through the sky, and some of the greatest acting ever occurs.
I have to agree, sir. It did look like it was from another planet, but... Shower reported, sir.
What, that we're being invaded by little green men from outer space? Let's just keep it as our secret. You can tell your son about it when he's born, Major Spielberg.
Oh, it only gets better from here. Emmy lands the ship and they find themselves caught in the middle of the war. M11 heads out to...
Stay on the path.
He finds the cave the Japanese army are in, and Shindo looks the same in 1944 that he does in 1992. Furthermore, proving my theory that the Japanese just do not age. The soldiers duel when the Godzillasaurus shows up, driving the Americans away from the island. Their ships severely injure the beast, and Emmy and gang transport to the time when Shindo's platoon is to leave the island. After they do, M11 transports the dying Godzillasaurus into the Bering Sea, while Emmy releases the 3 Dorats into the wild before they return to 1992. Godzilla has disappeared, even though everyone seems to know that he existed, while a new monster named King Ghidorah is now terrorizing Japan. Shouldn't it have been more like this? Sir, reporter for duty! We are back! Has Godzilla disappeared? What's a Godzilla? You know, Godzilla, giant monster. We have a Ghidorah. King Ghidorah lays waste to Kyushu. Mickey believes that King Ghidorah is the fusion of the 3 Dorats and that Emmy left them there intentionally. Emmy is suddenly informed of Wilson's true intentions. She flees the ship to visit Terasawa and explains to him the truth behind everything. It turns out that Japan is the richest nation by the 23rd century. The job of the Earth Union is apparently to travel through time to balance out the national powers by altering history. Wait, so you mean in the 23rd century the purpose of time travel is due to jealousy reasons and... Fujio asks Shindo to send out their nuclear sub to the location the Godzillasaurus sleeps in the hopes that it will be able to make a new Godzilla. Mickey claims she can feel Godzilla alive, and Terasawa finds an article that a nuclear sub had sunken in the Bering Sea in the 1970s. As such, this gives a notion that the Godzilla that attacked Japan in 1984 was actually the Godzillasaurus transformed, meaning the one from 1954 was a different one. Emmy and Terasawa are driving when M11 suddenly starts chasing after them. I think I've seen a similar scene to this before, but I can't quite place it. Emmy returns to Wilson and is told he let her go to see what the Japanese government would do in hopes that they would try to create a new Godzilla. Emmy reprograms M11 to listen to her. Why? Why would Wilson let Emmy have access to M11 after she just blatantly betrayed him? In fact, why is he even letting her walk around without security following her? That's stupid! Teio's nuclear sub is attacked by Godzilla and it ends up making him into an even stronger, meaner 100-meter behemoth. Godzilla lands and King Ghidorah is sent out to kill him while Emmy, M11, and Terasawa destroy the ship's computer. They then attack the bridge and we get to watch a hilarious moment of M11 taking out the other 2 androids before they knock Wilson and Krenchenko out and take off in the smaller ship. M11 transports the UFO to the monster's battlefront. Godzilla destroys it. The now 2-headed Ghidorah tries to escape but is blasted into the sea by Godzilla's atomic breath. Godzilla proceeds to rampage through Sapporo. I do have to say here that the miniatures here are a mixed bag. In some shots they look nice, and then in others they look like they are made out of cardboard rather than concrete. Emmy and M11 go back to their time with a plan to defeat Godzilla using Ghidorah and 23rd century technology. Godzilla attacks Shinjuku and Shindo stands in his office thinking Godzilla is going to recognize him, only to have the atomic monstrosity blow him up. Emmy returns to the present, piloting the new and improved Mecha King Ghidorah and battles Godzilla. After a short battle and Emi's poor piloting skills, Mecha King Ghidorah uses cables and a robotic arm to restrain Godzilla, and they fly him up into the sky. Godzilla blasts the mechanical dragon and the two crash into the ocean. Emi manages to escape and has a message for Terasawa.
寺澤さん、一つだけあなたに言うの忘れてたわ。
You're pregnant, aren't you?
あなたが私の遠い遠い昔のお父さんだってこと。
Ugh. Good thing nothing happened that night they were together, because she's one step away from being her own grandma. Hey kids, are you tired of falling in love with someone from the future and not knowing if they are related to you? Yeah. Well, I have the solution for you. Really? Try out Incest Away Body Spray. New from the makers of Axe. It will keep you relative free. Emi leaves to go back to her time, and Godzilla wakes up beneath the wreckage of Mecha King Ghidorah and roars as the movie ends. And that was Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, the first movie in the 90s. The time-traveling plot makes very little sense in both concept and execution. Sure, this is a great way to establish how Godzilla attacked Japan in 1984, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense. Wouldn't the Futurians have known Godzilla's existence did not end by the very fact that nobody forgot about the monster? Shouldn't Emi, M11, Mika, Terasawa, and Mazaki be the only ones who would have even known of his existence afterwards? And why would the Futurians still be there if Godzilla had not existed? The whole plan is extremely flawed and doesn't work when you start diving deep into it. The characters are also nothing to really talk about. In fact, I don't even know why Mickey was here other than to say, "Hey look, we have continuity!" She does absolutely nothing worthwhile and brought nothing important to the table. The only scene she uses her psychic abilities in is just to say that she feels like Godzilla is still around. Okay, so? Terasawa writes a book about Godzilla. Cool! Why did the Futurians need him to go to Logos Island? Why did they need anyone from 1992 in the first place? Mazaki doesn't even need to be there either. Why didn't they just go back to 1944 and then jump to 1992? It just doesn't make sense. Emi is a decent character, but again, how could she have not known what the plan was? She was part of the lie that Japan was destroyed. The only character that is really worth talking about is M11, and that is because of how funny his scenes are. That running bit is hilarious. The sped up moments are just downright hysterical. It is a shame that the worst acting in the entire movie comes from all the Western actors. Major Spielberg and his commander are absolutely atrocious. It isn't even like they are trying to give an emotion during their scenes. They just saw their entire squadron killed and they are too busy being duh. Wilson and Grenchenko are no better. It is also time to mention our second Heisei series Darwin nominee. And the nominee goes to the reporter who says he doesn't care about Godzilla and is going to get the scoop of the century regardless. Thankfully, there is a lot more going for it besides his characters. Akira Ifukabe's soundtrack is absolutely amazing here. Hearing his old themes remade is absolute bliss to the ears. The new themes, such as the one belonging to the Godzillasaurus, really fit the mood and the tragedy of the monster. I absolutely love hearing that brand new updated King Ghidorah theme. As I said before, the miniatures are a mixed bag. There are some really great looking ones, especially in the attack on Sapporo and Kyushu, but then there are others that are just awful looking. The skyscrapers look less detailed than before thanks to the size increase on Godzilla, and the streets feel pretty barren at times. In fact, There are moments when there are no cars or anything whatsoever on the streets Godzilla is walking down. I don't care if the city was evacuated beforehand. That is not possible. The effects on the monster battles look fine, but you can see the wires holding Ghidorah up during the battle with Godzilla. It is distracting at times. Godzilla's design remains pretty much the same from the last movie with just a few minor alterations, such as more muscle in the chest. The eyes are still brown, he still has the double rows of teeth, the smaller head, and the longer tail. The suit does look a tad darker than it did in Biollante 2. Ghidorah's design is quite good, but I think I do prefer his Showa look. Another issue is that the heads don't move around as organically. They move, but they look stiff, and the ones on the side look a little lifeless. In fact, even when Ghidorah flies, it feels like he's not actually organic. How was it that Tsuburaya in the 60s was able to make Ghidorah look more lifelike when he was flying than Kawakita did in the 90s? Oddly enough, the robotic head on the mecha version moves around a lot more lively than the actual heads. I do love the coloring, and I do like the concept and design of Mecha Ghidorah. It's just a shame it was only on screen for such a short time, but then, so was Biollante. Finally, I like the design for the Godzillasaurus, but I am not sure I'm a fan of the reason for it. It just seems to take away from the persona of Godzilla to see what he was like before the nuclear bombs. I prefer the mystery behind his origins over being told what he was. In fact, I feel the same way about Ghidorah. I find the entire Dora aspect to be a terrible idea and would rather have they just kept him as a monster from space without trying to create this deep, intricate plot for him, especially a nonsense one. In the end, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah does an okay job of bringing Ghidorah into the 90s. The characters are a mixed bag, the plot is absolutely nonsensical, and the effects are not that good. They're fine, but they could be better. At least the monster battles are entertaining to watch, and Mecha King Ghidorah does bring something new to the table. Well, that is all the time, get it, I have for this episode. Join me next time for the most unnecessary remake-ish movie in the Godzilla franchise, Godzilla vs. Mothra. Bye.
Created a time paradox. You can't go changing the future like that.